tea time in the East Coast. Thank you for being here. Just allowing a few moments for people to park their vehicles to find their spot.
It's a good thing you're not here because you wouldn't find one. Because the snow is taking it up all that room.
Indeed. Okay, we're gonna get started. Welcome on behalf of the Messy Conversations team. Welcome to this wonderful session today on race, equity, and dance, facilitated by Clarence Williams, member of the Messy Conversations planning team. We have a lineup for the month. Before get started, there's a lineup for Black History Month. Next week, we have Fashion as Resistance, also facilitated by Clarence. And on February 23rd, remember that after February 9th, we are going to skip one Monday because President's Day. And then on February 23rd, we have Race, Politics, and Media as well as part of the of the Black History Month Messy Conversations. I'm going to leave the floor with Clarence. Unmute yourself.
Let him rule over the fish of the sea. Let him rule over the birds of the air. Let him rule over all the earth, over the creatures that move. God, he made the sun, he made the moon, he made the day, he made the night, he made the heavens, he made the earth, he turned the darkness into light, he made the rivers, he made the seas, he made the flowers, he made the trees, he made the storms, he made the rainbow, he made the snow, he blew the breeze, he made the fish, he made the fowl, he made the beast, he made the birds, he made the songs for us to sing, he gave us music, he wrote the words, he made the big, he made the small, he gave us life, he made us all. And let him rule over the fish of the sea. Let him rule over the birds of the air. Let him rule over all the earth, over the creatures that move. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. And into him he blew the breath of life. He blew the breath of life. He blew the breath of life. Amen. He made the fish, he made the fowl, he made the beast, he made the birds, he made the songs for us to sing. He gave us music, he wrote the words, he made the big, he made the small, he gave us light, he made us all.
I am Clarence R. Williams, and I'd like to personally welcome you to this special edition, this Black History edition of Messy Conversations. We've done dance as a conversation in the past, but it was rooted in healing. Dance is a healing art. But today we're going to talk about dance as an art form and its history around Black dancers especially. And I am really happy to have shared with you just now. What you've just seen is Carmen de Lavallade in a TED Talk, believe it or not. You don't see the whole piece, and I invite you, we put it on the website, you can go back and look at it in its completion. But it's a piece that her husband choreographed and directed her in around the creation, the poem The Creation by James Weldon Johnson. And Carmen danced off the mortal plane recently and became one of our ancestors. So it's really special today that we honor her. It is Black History Month. I'm going to keep saying that throughout our talk, but because she is a history maker, she is a legend in our culture. And I just thought that it would be a nice compliment for today. And the other reason is I wanted to include Carmen is because several years ago, I mean, I'm younger than Eartha. Several years ago, I was doing a radio show in Washington, D.C. called ArtScope. And NPR asked me to do a capsule around Carmen. And I interviewed Carmen, and she says, Clarence, this is just fabulous. She says, you should have a big round table and have the silent ones come to the table and talk because no one ever hears us talk. And I thought, oh, okay. So today for Carmen, we're at that table and hopefully it'll get bigger and bigger. And we're going to let the dancers talk today. So I'd like to welcome our esteemed panel. Not going to go into a lot of details for the sake of time, but joining me today in conversation is Eartha Robinson and Shirley Black Brown Coward. The two of them combined and singularly have graced every form of a genre that could be creative, Broadway, television, movies, you name it. They've done it all. And now they're educators and mentors for the next generation of artists. So I want to welcome them at this time for all of us to delve into this messiness of a conversation around Black dance in America. So welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Shirley is a surprise.
I knew you were going to be here. He already told me that, okay? So I said I was going to surprise you, yes.
As she is
Okay,
one of
so
my mentors.
Just so everyone knows, they talk every day. So, they're very familiar. But, I like to always, because we are an educational institution and because we are talking about history today, I think it's really important to talk about your origin stories. And some months ago, before we came up with the idea of doing the subject matter, I kind of stumbled onto a documentary that was about Bella Lewinsky from here in Los Angeles. And I did not know how the dots were connected, that in that studio where Bella started, which was with Lester Horton, there was a Carmen de Lavallade who then went out to her class because she was in junior high school with a guy named Alvin Ailey. She talked him into coming in and studying dance at the Horton School. And the two of them went off to New York. And of course, history happened after that. So I would like to know about your origin stories. We'll start with you, Shirley. How did you find dance, or how did dance find you? And why did you stay in it? How were you driven to it?
I always danced. I was born dancing. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. My parents told me that they had to turn the music off to pin my diaper on me so that they wouldn't stick me with the pin. I started training when I was 9. And I went to the Foundation for Modern Dance Education with Shirley Bell in Hackensack, New Jersey. I They came around to elementary school and they asked, they were offering dance, acrobatics, and they said who wanted to study dance, and they were giving out scholarships. I threw my arm up so fast I almost threw it out of the socket. I to go to dancing school. So I started training there. I was there for 9 years. I think my dad paid once, and then I was on a scholarship for the 9 years. And then I auditioned for colleges, and I went to Juilliard. But the reason why I've danced and I'm still dancing is because I have to, I need to, I must. It's my form of expression. I love it. I love training and making dancers and helping dancers become what they are aspired to be. And I've been very, very favored to have many of my students are professionals. They're all over the world. They've been on television. They've in dance companies all over the world. They have their own companies. They are making dance better because they're being taught by the old school way, and so they have transformed that into their own teaching, and they are teaching the way they've been taught, which is very important because a lot of teaching now is questionable for me.
What about you, Eartha?
Um,
What was your origin start?
well, I started dance late, is what they would say, but I've always danced. I've always wanted to dance. And then I found out, coming upon a conversation with Alvin and George and my mom, that my mom, when she was pregnant with me, used to stop at a ballet school every day and would stand there and watch the classes for hours. I never knew this. And so when I was born, I was like, I always wanted to dance, but my family weren't into that. They, you're going to be a nurse, or, you can do anything to make money, because dancers don't make money. That's a hobby, niece. You got to know that's a hobby. That's not a real job. And I didn't care if I went hungry. I knew I wanted to dance. I did. Now they're taking the arts out of the school, but I grew up in Harlem, and in those schools we had arts. I mean, my friends played real instruments in a band, and so we had movement classes, we had dance classes, and I wanted more. And so I heard one day that these girls who were, they took classes at dance theater, and it was about 4 of them in the class, and I had never taken a professional class instruction. And I overheard them talking about auditioning for performing arts. And so I went to the dance teacher and I said, I want to audition. And they overheard me asking, and they, tried to convince me that I was not good enough, that wasn't going to happen, that I should not even go down there because they're not going to choose you. You don't have any dance technique, blah, blah, blah. It was all this stuff. And I was discouraged. And something said, get up and go down there to that audition. And I did. And I just let it go. And as we were preparing to go to high schools, I went to my guidance counselor and I was like, okay, so I think I'm going to go to Mabel Dean Bacon. And she said, Denise, what is your first name? Because I never used my first name because it just was so different. Eartha, really? So I used my middle name. And when I told her what my first name was, she said, do you know there was 5 of you guys who went to performing arts to audition and you were the only one who got chosen? I was like, what? It's on and popping. So I went to performing arts, was my first formal dance training. And I went to a school that had Asian kids, Hispanic kids, Caucasian kids, East Indian. I always went to school with Black children. I never crossed any of those lines. And here I was in a school with people speaking totally different languages. That first year was rough. So when they threatened to take that away from me, they said, well, she's not improving. Maybe, Mabel Dean Bacon would be a good choice for her. I was like, whoa, dance is going out the door. Wait a minute. And I begged them for another chance. And they said, okay, over the summer, you take classes. And when you come back, we'll look at you for the first 3 months. We'll look at you and see how you are. Within that first 3 months, I was one of the top dancers in my class. I was thirsty for it. I was hungry for it. And I went after it and swallowed it up. Yum, yum.
One thing for sure, dance is a calling. No one goes into dance to get credits for sure. And then the rarities thereof. Even our new star, Misty Copeland, well, she's not new anymore, but, even her salary at American Ballet Theater was not, like a doctor's salary or a lawyer's salary, So you come into dance, I'm told. I'm laughing because Lula Washington tells me that once a dancer, always a dancer. So no one has to know that at 22, I was still dancing 160 pounds wet. But I would just remind us all that it is a calling for sure.
It is.
Yeah. Yes.
No, go ahead, Shirley.
I was just going to say that I come from dancers. My mother and father, they could cut a rug. I mean, just graceful, rhythmical, just dance. And when my mother, she told me that she didn't want me to be a dancer. It was a hard life. And my mother used to have a habit of saying things over and over and over and over again. And, and to myself, I would say, I wish she would just be quiet. But when she told me that she didn't want me to be a dancer and I told her that that's what I wanted to do, my mother never, the look on my face, she never said it again because she knew it was over. That was my calling. That was what I was going to do. That's the way it was. And it was never going to be about money.
Sounds like to me that you, Shirley, you got your training in New Jersey, New York?
New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey was where you started. And Eartha started in Harlem. So you guys are both Northerners or Yankees, as we'd say from down south. But
That's right.
I think about our dear friend, Debbie Allen. I can hear her voice saying, child, they point their toes in Houston, Texas, too. So I think that a lot of dancers who came up out of the South had a harder time getting trained. I've heard, some stories, not only with Debbie's career, where she could not get into a class because of her color, and Patrick Swayze's mother ended up taking her into her studio to teach her. But of course, you've got people who came through Washington, D.C., even though don't tell Washington, D.C., they're in the South. But there was you look at Hinton Battle.
Oh, yeah.
And Reddy Battle.
Oh, yeah.
Who started out at Jones and Hayward in New York, in D.C., rather. And I can't remember, I asked someone earlier today whether it was Ms. Jones or Ms. Hayward, who were from Boston. And when she was training, they would not let her in the classroom because white kids would not take the class if she was in the classroom. So she had to literally watch the classes from the window and then have private lessons after the fact. but she went on to Washington, D.C. and opened up one of the most prolific schools there is on the planet.
Oh, yes.
Training people, Louis Johnson, Cheetah
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
And then she took them to George Balanchine at the New York City Ballet, and they started their careers there.
Yeah.
So for Southerners, it was a lot different because of the Jim Crow laws to be able to get decent training, especially in ballet. And when we talk about ballet, that was kind of the impetus for today's conversation, because I stumbled upon yet another documentary called The Black Ballerina, which we put on our website. And in The Black Ballerina, I was just appalled because this documentary was made probably 3 years ago, but who knows how long it takes to make a documentary. It could take years. But it was released just 2 years ago. And I'm listening to these, young ballerinas talking about, I don't want to do modern dance. I just want to do ballet. But every time I go to an audition for a major company, they keep telling me, honey, have you heard of Alvin Ailey? Can you go over there? And she, they're like saying, no, we want to dance ballet, but they're not being admitted to major ballet companies anymore. In fact, I texted Eartha a few days ago and asked if she knew India, the young woman who's now the first ballerina in a principal role at the VA. India Bradley is her name. Right, she's the first one in 76 years.
Ridiculous.
And it's like 76 years. It's taken 76 years to get a principal role. What is that about?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? And what is going on with this landscape of dance that is still denying dancers their rightful place on the rosters?
Fear.
Straight up fear.
Period.
That's it.
It's fear, and it's the stage is big enough for us all, but the color of your skin will bar you from all of that. So that's why you create your own. That's why Arthur created its own. That's why look deeply rooted. Iega Jeff, that you got to create your own because they're not letting you in.
That's right.
And those.
The ironic thing is that all the Black companies that have created their own hire white dancers. Okay, so you figure it out, and we're not going to go there, but okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
well, this is called Messy Conversations, so we can go there.
Yeah, it's
we can't be messy.
Well, it's nasty, and you to think about it.
It's more than messy. It's nasty. It's nasty. It's unnecessary. It's ridiculous. It's when I was even when you're good, it doesn't matter. Even when you're fabulous, it doesn't matter. Okay, unless they want to use you for their purpose, for their own specific purpose. Okay. When I first went to California, I was doing a TV special with Debbie Allen and Ben Vereen. And Ron Farrell says, "Oh, just improv over here." I said, "Well, if you pay me what they're paying you, and I'll improv, because I know you're going to what? Use my biography and have your name on it, and there it will be." No. We're not doing that. I said to him, "Where's the step? Where's your choreography?" Okay, that's what I want to know. So and you have to be bold. Some of us don't have to be. Some of us just are, and I happen to be one of them. And I've seen like Linda Spriggs. Linda Spriggs was in Juilliard with me. She was the only Black doll in the Atlanta Ballet, the only one. And this is this was 76 I graduated, so this is like 72. This is before 72, okay? In my dancing school, I didn't have to go through that because I'm in the Northeast, and the woman that owned the school was a Jewish woman. So she had all kind of people there, but there was only 3 Blacks, and I was one of them. So,
When we were
You know,
coming
it's
up,
interesting. You look at someone like Misty Copeland, and I did not know this again until I watched the Black Ballerina documentary, but I had no idea she had been in the Quarter Ballet for over a decade. Over a
yes,
yeah,
decade
yes,
before they
yes.
even considered her for any major role. I was like, what?
Listen,
And then
you
when
know,
they elevated her to a principal role, she started putting butts in seats because not only did Black people get excited, but all kinds of people got excited about ballet all of a sudden. And
mm-hmm,
the documentary, I think it was Doris Brown from
yeah,
Philadelphia, who
mhm,
said, she said, I can't even go to those companies anymore because I'm tired of the tokenism. And she also
exactly.
said that what is ABT saying to the world about their marketing numbers now? They're selling out. They're selling out because Misty is there. And yet they're not acknowledging because of this one Black ballerina, they're now selling out and making more revenue than they ever did before. So what is that about?
yeah.
It's about money. It's about money and exploitation, just like it always is. Go
Look
on,
how
Eartha.
far back it goes. Janet Collins. Look
Oh,
at Janet Collins. And she's her and Carmen were cousins.
hello.
Metropolitan
Right.
Ballet. How they did her the first time, and she sat on the steps of Metropolitan Ballet crying, because they wanted to bring her in, but they're light skinned, and they wanted her to put
I was about to get to
even
that.
lighter. They wanted
Okay.
her to put more makeup on to make
That
her,
pancake, that light pancake.
and she refused
Thank you.
I
because it got
listened to
to a point where
an
enough
interview with
is enough.
Carmen.
Sorry.
No, I was saying that I listened to Carmen tell that story about how they asked Janet to darken her skin, or would she be willing to darken her skin? And here she is, as some people in our culture would say, she was damn near light and bright and
Light, bright,
almost
damn
white
near white.
because she was so light complected. But yet they wanted her to put on some makeup called Negro number 2, Negro
Ah,
number
Mhm.
2 on her face to darken her. And I was looking at, you bring up what we consider to be colorism, Dr. Gills. You look at Janet Collins, Carmen de Lavallade, Misty Copeland, Raven Wilkerson. They're all very light-skinned women.
That's all they
So
can take.
why
That's all
would
they can
they
tolerate.
have?
but
Why
you
would
get to
they
a color
bring?
like Lauren Anderson. You get to a color like Lauren Anderson for Houston Ballet, and
Okay.
she's from the South, so you can go. It's acceptable to go a little darker. It's okay. But me,
And me, what about it?
So
I'm so
what
glad
has
that I
been
was
your
a ballerina.
experience? Have you battled against colorism in your careers?
still doing it.
Oh,
Still
yes.
doing it.
Oh,
Still doing it.
please.
I mean, I've had colleagues train with us, use what we have, and become make more money as a choreographer than the people that gave them the choreography because of the color of their skin. It is happening right now. All the jobs are going to the Caucasian person because they happen to train with the Black kids and know that area and can transfer it over. So they'll get the job before I get the job
Okay.
because this means I'm not as qualified,
Yeah, right.
even though I've given that person all they know. So what was a good thing for me is I remember doing the Academy Awards, and Liza was it I'm not doing that. Liza was doing a piece, and it had a whole Peter Allen was choreographing for her. And, the kick
That's
line,
Liza Minnelli.
that Liza Minnelli. And that famous line that they do, and all the kids are one color, and they came in to our rehearsal. We were rehearsing with Debbie, and Peter came into the rehearsal, and he said, "I need 4 more girls." And so I went and sat down because I knew it wasn't going to be me, because he already had the 18 white girls. So whoever he chose from our company, they're going to be light bright. So he chose them, and then he came back and he said, "Eartha, would you mind?" I said, "Did you call my name?" He said, "Yeah, I want you to be on that line." I said, "Whoa," because that was the one thing I wanted to do, was to break that color line. And I wasn't at the end of the line. I was like 4th from the end. So talk about break that up. So that's a bold choreographer to make a bold move, and a bold artist that takes that stand to say, "No, I want the Black girl, the real Black girl in there."
Hello.
The chocolate.
Thank you.
And,
Nice.
and we don't get that a lot of times. There's been a lot of times, and I thank God for my mentors like Shirley, Frances Morgan. I mean, they were the ones who told me, "You get into the union, just don't be in the union, Miss Thing. Learn your rules, learn what it is, know what your book is saying." I would go to those auditions, and they would dance my Black ass till the cows came home.
All of us.
2 and 3 callbacks.
Yep.
And they knew they wasn't giving me the job. They just wanted to see me dance.
Listen, honey.
I got sick of that. I would go back and ask for can I get my 8x10 back, please?
Listen, I just started saying, they would have us, I would go there with the most fabulous Black dancers, and we would go to these calls, and they would have us in there forever, all day long. And they were just being thoroughly entertained by these gorgeous dancers. And so I just finally said, "Are you looking for anybody Black? Are you going to hire any Black dancers? Because if you're not, we need to leave. Because we don't have time to just be sitting up in here all day long giving you a thrill." Okay? No.
Yeah.
It's,
I want to hit 2. No, go ahead,
say
Shirley.
it again. No, I'm done. Say it again. You want to hear what?
I was going to say, I want to hit 2 points before we open up the room for questions. And one of which is back to the erasure situation. When you talk about people stealing your choreography, that's not a new concept.
Never.
In the Harlem Renaissance, I did a lot of research thanks to Dr. Gills around the Harlem Renaissance. And one of the things that I learned about the dance was, during the Harlem Renaissance, people like Jerome Robbins came up to Harlem, went to the Savoy, went to the Cotton Club, and stole the choreography, went downtown and put it in a Broadway show. And it wasn't until later that Black dancers found out, "Oh my God, those are our steps. Those are, that's our choreography." So it's nothing new that it's been stolen from time.
Nothing new. It's
forever,
nothing new.
forever.
No, musicians go through it. Elvis up in the Black church. All of it. Phoebe Snow up in the Black church. All of them. All of it. It's it's the same story, just a different art.
But also, you think about the whole idea of balax and ballet, and as you just talked about the chorus line, Eartha, they always made the excuse that you can't be in the court of ballet, you can't be in the chorus line because you would break up the line. Your aesthetic is not proper because you don't have that long linear white leg with the pink ballet slipper on the bottom. You have to not be in the court of ballet and not be in the line. I remember some years ago, and I keep saying I'm younger than Eartha. I was working at Radio City.
You're going to have to say those numbers. You're going to have to say those numbers.
No, I'm not. I was working at Radio City Music Hall in New York when they hired the first Black rockette.
And she
I
was not
was
Black.
there when they hired the first Rockette, and it was like, oh my God, we finally broke the chorus line.
Yes.
And
And
now
now
they've
there's
had like
3 or
3, 4,
4.
5
Now there's
Black
4.
Rockettes since then. Yeah. And the woman who is the assistant director, she was also one, and she's as dark as any 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like amazing how time has changed some things, but not others.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're going to open up room for questions. If there are any, you can drop them in the chat, or feel free to, ask them out by raising your hand. But we're happy to receive questions at this time. And if not, we'll just keep on going. I would like to hear more about the erasure, the color battles that you guys have had.
There's a comment by Kaya, in the chat that goes in that direction. Kaya, do you want to represent your comment?
We lost Clarence.
Temporary. Kaya, do you want to represent your comment?
Broadband keep popping out. So sorry about that.
Okay. Clarence, Kaya has something.
Do we have a question?
Yeah, Kaya.
Oh, yes. I was just saying that my comment was basically saying like they're fearful of having a Black principal dancer because ultimately we are the most creative and like we're creatively the best in my opinion, and so like we're often copied by every culture. So
and it won't stop.
Yeah. Because
we have more where that comes from.
We are precedent. We are trendsetters. We are a creativity. I mean, I don't want to sound braggadocious or bold or anything, but it's in our DNA. And it's not everybody, because there are Black folks that can't dance and have no rhythm. Okay, I just want to say that. Okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm one.
But your creativity lies someplace else, but you're still creative. See,
absolutely.
There you go. There you go. And when people are threatened, the best thing they can do is just to keep you out, so that they don't have to focus or worry about you, or even have any concerns
or
about
change
you.
the narrative. Change the narrative.
Yes. You have to change. That's what I love about doing what I'm doing, doing it for the last 50 or 60 years, okay? Because I'm 72. And I am, thank you, Father, favored enough to keep on dancing. I'll stop when it looks bad. You won't see me anymore. But up until then, I will be gracing the stage, okay? But my whole point is that the training that we give, I'm talking about Eartha, I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about Debbie, I'm talking about Karen, McDonald, I'm talking about people who are from the old school. They are really being trained like we were trained. Now, these other children over at Steps and over at this other place and that place and that place, they're just professional class takers. Yeah. It's not working. It's just not. It's not working.
Can you tell us what old school is for
classical training? Strict discipline.
We were classically trained. I was classically trained.
Yes.
Okay, modern, ballet, jazz, African, tap, all of that. And let me talk about. I'm jumping the gun, but I have to say this. Talking about how teaching and classes has changed. I'm a graduate of Juilliard. When I was at Juilliard, you could only take dance if you were into dance, and you could only do drama if you were into drama. Like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, some of my students, they could now take instruments, they could take voice, they could take drama. And now this last 2 years, 3 years, they have incorporated African dance into Juilliard. I was gagging, but I was happy as pig and slop.
Wow.
Okay, because
Wow.
yes, charisma is teaching authentic. She is teaching authentic. Okay, I'm not talking about no, they're going.
And see,
No,
here we are, and they're getting that education from the best, and everybody's getting it.
thank you,
Caucasians, so now they'll be able to go and teach African.
thank you. So things
So
are,
anything that we have is not sacred and belongs to just us. We
thank
have
you.
everything that we share with everyone willingly. Give it up. You
Right.
know,
It's like Judith Jameson says that dance is not closed. We're very open with dance.
The
And so
arts
we
are
let
not closed.
everybody
It's very
in.
open. Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
close off dance to the world. We let
What?
them in.
That's the African way.
That's the
that's
African.
yes.
That's our heritage. That's and also I think that's was part of maybe an issue also because we are so giving, so open, so willing, so
So
caring, so
welcoming.
caring. But the one thing I know about that is you never run empty because we are that. So I will share until the cows come home. I will give my best until I can't anymore because I have to be sincere to my craft and my art. I can't be anything else but sincere to that. So giving my best, teaching my best, sharing my best, that's doing my best. And my parents told me to do your best or don't do it at all.
I
Guys,
understand
Obadiah.
Obadiah is on with us and wants to make comment.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
Obadiah White.
Oh, Obadiah Wright, not white.
Yeah, right.
No, White.
Unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes, it's Dr. Obadiah right now. Let me sleep for the other
Oh,
people.
excuse me,
Ah.
Yeah.
doctor.
So let me, I just have a few quick things to say. First of all, Shirley was my teacher. And yes, Miss Shirley Blackburn was my teacher. And when I saw her dance, I wanted to do everything like I saw her do it.
Yep.
Everything. If I could do that, then that would be it. And I was there when Eartha took her audition for performing arts. I watched it. I remember the song. It was Bridge Over Troubled Water by Aretha Franklin.
Okay, come on now.
So I just wanted to just let you know about our connection and how long back that goes. The other thing I want to say is that because as people, our spirits, we're so giving and open like that, that's how we got on the ship in the first place.
Yes.
Come on now. Come on now.
So we have to, we can't not be who we were created to be, but we have to now start closing the gaps. We have to now start taking back our artifacts that were borrowed. We have to start taking back our languages, our cultures, our histories, and our forms of dance. You had Dr. Pearl Primus that went over and studied over there and came back and taught all that stuff. And now the turnaround is Black dancers want to dance like Europeans. They'll say, oh, well, we love you, Obadiah, but you do Black dance. I absolutely do.
Okay.
I absolutely do. Yeah. I'm unapologetically that, and that's okay. But, so now it's permissible now to have African dance at Jewett. It's permissible now to be a little more cultural. I've had agents that I've sent my realtor says, oh, Obadiah, I love it, but it's so African. It's so African. It's so African. Like they were scared. And if you look at my work, it's a mix. I'm not an African dancer, but they see funk and syncopation and timing and automatically like it just looks too African for them. And we're lots of things. We come with the biggest box of crayons to an empty pad. We can sketch anything, make it 2D, 3D, 5D. We're masters of that, and that's part of our lineage. So now my question is, what do we do now? Of course, we're going to keep creating, but we have to have some kind of way to pump the brakes and say, you can't have everything. How do we do that?
That's the hard part. That's the hard part because especially now with social media, the TikTok, the people are just grabbing your stuff out of the air right now. and
And
claiming
IA. Shit.
and claiming it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I did that, is what they say. And go, I'm like, no, you did not. That step is funga.
I had to
One of
stop
the basic
somebody.
first
Yeah.
things that we learn in African dance.
I had to stop somebody because they were doing Beat It. And I said, this is nice, but you didn't give credit to the choreographer, whose name is
Right.
Michael Peters. And they went into this back and forth banter with me. I said, listen, you can say whatever you want to say. You make sure that you let people know that you did not do that. You give credit to the person that did it. And he was my teacher, and he's no longer here to defend himself. So let's not do that. So when I see it, I'm always trying to correct that kind of stuff. But we have to figure out a way with TikTok and social media, because people are literally just lifting all your stuff.
Lacey Phillips has a comment.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi,
Yes,
Lacey.
yes, yes.
Hi,
Come on, Lacey.
room. How y'all doing?
Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to chime in because I want to go back a couple of steps in the conversation you were having, especially about erasure and colorization in the entertainment industry. I've been a victim of that my entire life. I don't know how to put it in a nice way, so I'm going to make it messy.
It is messy.
It
Go
is.
ahead.
Because,
You're
growing
welcome.
up, I didn't go through the rigors that all these fine friends of mine went through. I was a child actor and singer.
Mhm.
So dance came later in my life. I didn't start dancing till I was about 15, 16. And that's kind of late. Usually you start when you're about 9, 10, but I always had passion for dance. I had rhythm, but I didn't have the technique. So my mom was an actress and singer. So I would be in rehearsal with her, and I was in rooms with like Louis Johnson, Bernard Johnson, Donna McHale. I was always in the room, but I wasn't out of the room.
Mhm.
But I made it a point to become a human sponge.
Okay.
So I would soak all that in. I would watch, and then I would get up in the back and dance in the corner. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just flailing about. And they would look over at me like, what are you doing? I said, I want to do the dance. I want to be there. They're like, okay, child, you can stand in the back. Just don't get in the way. And they allowed me in the space to dance behind the dancers. That was my training. I didn't go to Juilliard. I didn't go to high school performing arts. I learned by osmosis. And that is our people.
That's
We
it.
learn by osmosis. Either you have it or you don't. Some of it you can learn, but you can't get it if you don't have it.
Yes.
And so throughout my career, like I said, I transitioned once my voice changed and all that puberty happened. I shut up and I really started getting serious about dancing. Al Perryman told
Yes.
me, we were on tour in Europe. I was doing a show called Raisin. I was playing Travis, and I got too old to sing the young man's part. He says, when we get back to New York, I want you to go take class. And he sent me to Alvin Ailey when I was 15. That was the beginning of my career, and I was scared as hell. He sent me to a teacher named Bo Parker, who was teaching authentic jazz of Pepsi Bethel.
Oh,
And that's where I first started. And then it came a time where Bo said, Lacey, they're having auditions for scholarship, and I want you to go. I was like, oh, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. He says, okay, listen, if you don't go to that audition, do not take my class anymore. So that was stifling. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to reference your mother. I just want to say to people that Lacey is the son of the late, great Sandra Reese Phillips.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
but I don't want to monologue this, but I'm just to go back to say I went through it a different way than all the other dancers did. I didn't get the training the way they did. I went to high school and took my dance classes on the side. The bus stop for going home was in front of BJ's, Bernice Johnson's dance studio. I would stand in the window and look through the sweaty window and be like, oh my God, I love to be in there. And that's when Eartha and Valerie Pettiford and Francis, everybody was in there. I was pressed up against the window, like, I want to be in there. And then my bus would come. I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go. So that's as close as I got to BJ's, pressed against the window. But then I wound up in the room with all of them. Because when you have the will, the drive, the passion, the universe opens up for you. You have to be open to it. You have to allow it to work. You can't make anything happen. You have to allow it to happen. And I'm so privileged to have had the opportunity to work with all of them: Obadiah, Eartha, Shirley, Debbie, Michael. I mean, it's just been an amazing career. But the colorization thing, I was usually the only Black dancer that they would hire in every Broadway show.
Mm-hmm.
For a period of like 10 years. And I was like, woo, I've made it. I've made it. But then I thought about it, I was like, what are they saying?
Right.
Why am I the only one? Why is it just me? Why am I here all by my out here on my own? And then I had to think, well, token. I was the token.
Yes.
If there was a Black dancer to be had, it was Lacey, and it took me aback, and then I started becoming hardened by it. It had a negative effect on me, and they're like, "Oh, I was claimed to be unruly. I wasn't following the rules because they wanted me to be a house nigga,
Right.
basically." And I was not for that. So I was a trouble. I would get fired. He's difficult to work with because I wasn't taking their bullshit
Neither.
after a while. So Debbie was like, honey, come on out to LA. And then my whole world opened up another. So I'm going to let it go with that. But I just wanted to speak on the colorization thing. I was a victim of it, and I was deemed difficult to work with, and I was fired from a lot of shows and blah, 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 blah. But I'm still here, and I'm still dancing, and I'm still choreographing, I'm still working, and I'm teaching young people, passing on what I was so blessed to have.
Trisha has a question. If we'd like to invite Trisha for her question, for a comment.
Thank you.
Hi, greetings, everyone. I'm going to stay off camera because if I put my camera on, I may just zoom out of the meeting. So I'm going to leave the camera off. Thank you. This has been what an honor to be in this room with all of these tremendous creative people. But my question, actually my comment more so, I just went to Egypt in last August, and that'll sort of become important in a minute when I finish what I'm going to say. So my background is African dance, Brazilian dance, and sort of those kinds of ethnic dances. So that's my background. Currently, I do belly dance. And so wanted to speak to that because I really feel as if, in fact, I'm a writer, I'm a poet. I've actually wrote a poem related to belly dance, and actually the dance is speaking in the poem, because I really feel as if the belly dance or ballet has been treated like a stepchild in the dance world. Some of our local dance teachers, who shall remain nameless, really treated some of our Black belly dancers with much disrespect. And so I really feel that there's two things I want to talk about here. You know, I also worked in the art world where you have classical fine art, and then you have folk art, which is created by those primitive folks. And so I really feel that there's also that sort of division in the dance world. That's, you know, there's this folk dance or this ethnic dance. And so I wanted the panelists to kind of speak to that. But also I wanted to say, when we're talking about African dance, people forget that it is a whole continent and not a country, and that there's all kinds of African dance, and North African dance is actually African dance. And, you know, some folks will say, well, we don't know exactly where belly dance came from, or, you know, it started with these people or with these people. However, why is it that every dancer that's serious is about their craft wants to dance in Egypt? And so I do want to mention the name of Nakish. Nakish was the first American dancer to be officially invited to dance in Egypt back in the early 70s. And so she's a Black American dancer that was the first officially, when I say officially, I mean she was officially invited by the Egyptian government to dance in Egypt. So I think intertwined within this conversation is this whole notion of Black history and where Black Americans fall in that history, because there's very much a pushback and a division of, well, you Black Americans don't have anything to do with North Africa. And that's a serious pushback that's going on with some folks that live in that area and also here in the Americas. So I think intertwined when we're talking about this dance is very much a historical conversation that has to take place, because as Black Americans, I feel like we can claim the whole damn continent because we have ancestry. I have South African ancestry. I also have Indian ancestry. I also have, all different kinds of ancestry all throughout the continent. So I'm claiming the whole damn continent. And I want to make sure that when we're talking about African dance, that we don't forget about our North African dancers. So that's my comment and my question.
Thank you for that.
Bravo.
I claim all of Africa.
That's right. Thank you. Me too.
Every inch. And I want to go back to what Obadiah was saying about how do we reclaim all of what we give out? How do we do that? There's been conversations over the years about what is it called? Sorry?
I just
by copywriting your integrity. I can't hear you.
Eartha, it's breaking up.
Coming to the end of our official but okay. I will rely on the team to dismiss us and then to invite others to stay on then.
I just wanted to bring up, we have Ikaya comment pending from Ikaya that wants to participate, and if we can unpin the speakers so that people are open in the room.
I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
I was simply saying that we're going to have a slight pause to allow people to jump off and go to their meetings or classes or whatever, but we're going to continue the conversation with those of us who want to continue this conversation. And I invite you all back next week for our next Black History installment, which is Fashion as Resistance, with TJ Walker from Cross Colors. So please come back and join us then, but we'll continue the conversation. So Eartha and Shirley, you feel free to respond to Trisha's comment.
And what was that?
Well, Eartha, finish saying what you were saying.
We've been looking at areas of copyrights. Michael is gone and everybody does Thriller. Everybody.
Hello.
And like, some people are just changing it up and just doing all kinds of things with it. So I don't know how far the conversation have gone, because it can get, the fight is long. It's been a long haul. Getting choreographers paid residuals, getting choreographers on the ballot, the fight is long. And so retaining what we created, retaining our creative integrity has been a long fight. And we still haven't landed where we could be to rein in all the stuff that's ours, or to call somebody out. Bob Fosse they have the Fosse organization now, that they had to put a handle on that, because people was just using his stuff and not giving him no credit. No, I mean, so they put a handle on that. Anytime they see it being done, they reel it in. How do we do that for our stuff? I hear that, Obadiah. So that's a conversation that we might need to take up again, because
Yes, that
I'm
we need
afraid
to
to
have.
put my stuff out there. I've done some great works in the past, and I'm afraid to put up Sweet Ree because I'll see it on TikTok somewhere.
Yeah, I don't put my good things. I only put out the good china for the good people. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you know how when, we used to have like good china, good silverware. When the good people are coming over, we used to
Guest towel.
right. We had guest towels and those, because we see what time it is, and the fact that people are just lifting and we're so inundated with things, and the choreography now, like the music, is so unorganically connected to anything. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, well, what are you saying to me? Just tell me what you're saying. There's no storytelling. And so, like, and everyone says, oh, that's old school. I don't use the word old school. I use the word pedigree.
Thank you.
Breeding.
I like
training,
it.
through line, bloodline of something. The Robinsons of Harlem. You know what I mean? There's a legacy that's passed down with our stuff. So we have to, I think maybe this is the beginning of the conversation again about
it is
how that has to happen. There's got to be someone that's a lawyer, that was a former artist. I mean, like, Dance Theater of Harlem now is going through that with photographs. One of the alumni is claiming that they own the photographs, and they're saying that you can't. So we have to figure out ways to work together, and we have to figure out ways to classify, is that the word, our stuff. What is your technique? And okay, because Bob Fosse did this movie, that movie, it might be a little easier to do because people are going to get on board. Right. But Martha Graham had,
and Bob Fosse is also white.
Yeah. Martha Graham technique, Gordon technique. I mean, where did Martha get a training from? You know what I mean? We all know. So
and she, listen, she said it, and she said it, honey. She said that she got that contraction from Africa. Yep. I read it, I know it, and that's my girl. Okay, thank you very much. But before we can do any of that, we have to be selective. And that's the bottom line. Before we can get, a lawyer and a this and a that, we have to become very selective, as you said, putting out the good china for the good people. We have to be selective where we put our art and where we take our art and who we share our art with. Okay, that's
the thing, because the audience is bigger now. So when you're on Instagram and you're dancing, they're going to grab it.
Listen, and they'll take it and to use IA to do something else with it. Okay.
And the thing is, when we're talking about past and new, what our training was, it's our training versus new training. That the artistry, the creative integrity, the respect for your body and your peers and someone else's work is pedigree. Oh, I wouldn't say old school, but that's the home training that we received. These kids, the new generation, it's about how high your leg can go, how many turns you can do, how many tricks you have.
Tricks, honey, it's tricks.
We have 12-year-olds with hip replacements. How do you get a 12-year-old with a hip replacement?
For real, y'all.
Because they're not taking care of their bodies. They're not giving back. They're not learning their history. They think it's all of them. And that's the difference. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. It's
slam and stick dancing.
It's bop and slop. Okay, just how high, how fast, how many,
and how fast. And it needs to happen quickly. They do not want to be at the ballet bar for an hour.
They want microwave training.
Want to come in the room. They want something that's going to happen right now. They want to walk into the room and talent just falls on them from a bucket. I don't know what they want. But it's like, and I'm teaching these kids, and once I get them to a certain level, I ask them to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
Go over there because you're taking up space here right now. You know, and you got to just see that, and it does start with that. I'm so glad for the training that I received because I respect everyone who's gone before me. These kids don't even know our names, child, and they don't even care.
Listen, they don't even know. They don't even know the people who that we standing on. They when I start teaching, first thing I say is I want a blurb on. I ask them, do you know who Martha Graham is? Do you know who Ruth St. Dennis is? Do you know who Ted Shawn is? Do you know who Helen Tamara is? Do you know any of these people? I want a blurb on it. When you come to class the next time, bring it.
Let me tell you, I asked my class, I said, who knows Debbie Allen?
Now you know. Now you know.
Now I'm talking to 12-year-olds. I'm talking to 13-year-olds. And if you don't say Grey's Anatomy, they have no clue.
Wow.
There are kids that don't
sad.
even know who Michael Jackson is.
They don't even know who Michael Jackson is, girl, please.
I'm like, they're like, who? They don't know.
Because they're not going back. They're not going back to find it out. They're not going to look in the book to get it. If it's not on TikTok, they don't know about it.
And that's why we have to teach and keep teaching until we can't teach no more.
Yeah, and I take the phones when they walk through the door.
You got that right, honey. Okay? If you're going to video something, video this. Okay?
Right. And then they'll come into class and put their phone. I said, did you ask my permission that you could videotape my class?
Hello?
Oh, it's just for me. Just for you doing what?
Right.
Just for you doing what? If you want to videotape yourself, go pay for a studio and you're welcome to do that. I said, but if you want to use my stuff, you have to pay me for that. I'm not in here for that. I'm here to teach. I'm not here to teach on TikTok. I'm here to teach the class. Now, TikTok wants to come in, let me do that. I decide that, not you.
That's right.
But it's not even a thought in their head.
No.
That's the programming. It's not even a thought in their head that there's something wrong with that protocol. It's not even a thought.
No.
And that's why we're not just teaching dance. We're teaching humanity.
Life lessons.
Life lessons.
That's what I do.
We're teaching how to be a decent human being.
Yep.
The good China.
The good China, honey. That's like the crystal, honey. We're showing.
Oh, I'm going to use that. I'm loving that.
Yes.
I'm leaving it for the good China. We have people coming the good China.
Right.
Right.
Not paper plates.
No. Oh, and forget Dixie, because she still ain't working either. Okay. So now.
So yeah, this is good, you guys.
But to your point about protecting the work, a long time ago we had lamentation, for the classical dance. It was recorded. All of the dances were recorded. You could go to the Performing Arts Library and look at the lamentation for those dances. Now technology has changed. So how are we able to protect that dance, as Lacey was saying and Obadiah was saying? We have to find a way to do that. And maybe that's something that the creative minds have to get together with lawyers, as you said, Eartha, to try to find a way to protect the work. Because once it goes out on social media, it's gone into the world for anyone to take and use it however they want to. So it can be very dangerous for people's artistic intellectual properties.
You have to have a company or someone, some entity, third party that, like what residuals. There's someone that is looking out to see who's playing on what channel and how much is that being done, and then saying, okay, Lacey, your choreography was played in Africa 17 times. You get 750. Obadiah, we saw that, your choreography has been done over at so-and-so university without your permission. You get so-and-so and so. That is an army of people with 10 billion eyes looking out for your content. And that's a job and a half. And I thought the SDC, you remember that, the Stage Directors and Choreographers Union,
Yeah.
was attempting to do that kind of stuff. I don't know where we are with that. I know I was paying
Listen,
dues for
I'm
years.
a member of that, and I still don't know where they are.
Yeah, I was paying dues for years,
Like,
15
yeah.
years. And I'm like, you know what? I can't do the dues no
Yeah.
more. Because where's the work? I don't know. I don't know. And until today, choreographers are not in the union. We're still trying to fight to get there, but we're not in the union. So I started doing other tricks, which I got from a white dancer assistant who told me, don't go as a choreographer. Sign yourself up as one of the dancers, but get your rate. I worked that I milked that moment, honey. And I thank that diva for it, because right now till today, I get residuals from movies that I've done. I choreographed a long time ago. I've had the producer go, Eartha, you sure you want to be on a dancer's contract? Absolutely. But give me my rate, but put me on that contract. List me as a dancer, as this credits roll, and as a choreographer, but put me on a contract, because choreographers don't have a contract. You don't get a contract.
And you often
directors will get a contract. The director gets a contract, but the choreographers, no.
And assistants don't get them either.
No.
Nope. I never got one, and I was assisting. I never had one.
No, you don't. And you have
are we speaking theater, television, film?
Sorry?
Can you bring? Is it theater? Is it theater, television, and film that those issues are a problem with?
No, Equity. I believe Equity have choreographers on.
Right, we talk about television and film.
This is television and film,
and video,
and commercial.
Yeah,
and
video's the big culprit. Oh my God.
Yeah, man. And video has gone to, it's gone.
Please. After the children, we used to get paid $950. And then the children, to do a video, because we did the first video. I did the first videos that were ever made. And the children started doing videos for $2, for $2.50, and
for
then
chicken.
For chicken feed, and then they just didn't even pay it at all, because they could get them to do it for free.
I could not believe that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. What I did Rhythm of the Night with DeBarge. Lacey, did you work on that?
No, not that one.
Oh my gosh. I was like, they had us out there for a long time. And I decided
on concrete, right?
What?
On concrete.
You know what? I'm not coming back out. I need more money. And they were paying the kids in cash. I've gotten paid from videos in cash, tons of money. And then we found out the kids weren't getting paid at all. They was calling me in, okay, we only got 200. I was like, what? 200 for a whole shoot? Are you kidding me? And there was no jurisdiction over videos. There was none of that. There was no contract. There was none of that. It was like somebody called you up. I want you to do this video I'm choreographing. Okay, I need 1,500.
And see, when we did those videos,
Soul Train dancers worked for years for chicken.
For chicken. Can you believe it? Chicken sandwiches is what they got.
And there was fighting over that. They wanted to, I did not know all the stuff that went on behind Soul Train. Honey. You know, the kids, this one wants to be up on the riser. They discriminate about the one that's on the floor. They discriminate who's going down the Soul Train line. It was
nothing. Nobody getting nothing anyway.
Nobody getting paid a dime.
They got the bigger piece of chicken.
Yes.
They got 2 boxes instead of 1.
On the good china.
So yeah, things have changed. Things have really changed. They have.
And now these artists, these hip hop artists, are literally just taking advantage of these young ladies.
Yes.
They're calling rehearsals 12 o'clock at night. How you gonna wake up at 12 o'clock at night and rehearse?
But have them live in the compound Have
Mhm.
them live in the house. So whenever they feel like it on a drunken, stupid night, they can just call everybody down to rehearsal.
Right.
2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Outrageous.
And then they're doing the choreography themselves. Now you know. Excuse me. Hello.
Or they have those kids. They have those kids that's busting out those steps. They
That
don't
bust those
get
steps out.
credit. They
Right.
don't get paid. They
Nope.
have no representation. No one's fighting for them. It's so crazy.
Because they didn't read that handbook, honey. They didn't get that information. They didn't go and ask somebody about it. If you don't know, you better ask somebody
It's
that's been
everything.
there, seen
It's
it, and done
everything
that.
when you know the
That's
law.
my whole message for the world, honey. If you don't know, you better ask somebody before you go and sign up or you get used up.
So thank you all.
Thank you so much.
This has been wonderful. Clarence, you have any closing remarks?
Only I just want to thank all of the gypsies who came together at the table today in honor of Carmen de Lavallade and Black History Month, and to be continued, as Jeffrey Holder would say, to be continued.
Darling,
So I'll see
darling,
everyone
darling.
next week as we tackle fashion as resistance.
You guys should join us next week too.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
you,
guys.
guys.
It's so good to
We
see you
enjoyed
guys'
you guys.
faces.
It's wonderful.
Love
You guys did a fabulous
everybody.
job. Fabulous.
Okay.
And you
Thank
guys are
you.
out here in Los Angeles. I'm gonna send the Lesson in Blackness invitation.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
Okay. Great.
Okay, thanks, you guys.
Thank
Mooches.
you.
Love you all.
Love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Love
Bye-bye.
you.